Hey, Emma,
Yes, Madeline.
what do you call your friends that you drink chai and oolong with?
Gosh, I don't know.
Tea Buddies! Hello, and welcome to another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
That one was pretty weak, I admit it. Understood.
I was trying to, as she was telling it, okay, but how does I got the buddies part, but how does Splatoon fit into this? And the answer was it doesn't.
I don't usually my jokes are just to do with one game. It's a lot to ask.
I guess that's true. And Splatoon is already a pun, so that was definitely a little bit of a...
I was like, Toon Buddies? Like, I guess I could have done Toon Buddies, but that doesn't really...
Yeah.
That's not
Saturday morning cartoons with.
Yeah, but it's not close enough to either game to really... This one is only one letter off from the game.
Your army buddies that you drink tea with. Platoon tea buddies.
No. See, this is why I do the jokes
Your
not
tea
you.
platoon. Tea platoon.
Maybe we'll do bonus tracks where you try to come up with jokes every week.
Instead of just making fun of you for your jokes.
Yeah, instead of just being like, Madelyn's jokes are bad. Well, why don't you try it?
Well, welcome to the episode. I'm Emma. That's
and
Madelyn.
I'm Madelyn. Hi. We're happy to have you with us today. We've got a great lineup of games for this week's episode. Our old game is the so rare we weren't really sure if it was a collective hallucination or not, Team Buddies, and the so new that they are like updating it constantly, Splatoon 2. And they're actually pretty similar games in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's going to make the mashup a little bit difficult.
They're both like team-based shooters, right?
Yeah, they're both team shooters. They're kind of colorful. Not that they're child-oriented, but like they sort of are, kind of. Well, we'll talk about that. So I guess we'll start. We'll just jump right in. We'll start by talking about Team Buddies. Team Buddies is one of those games where like I probably didn't actually have to do research, and it might have been better if I hadn't. If I just tried to like recall my experience of this game.
See, I only have like vague recollections, and that like I look at the characters and I think, oh, that looks familiar, but I don't really remember playing it at all.
Yeah, I only had vague recollections as well, and then I read through the Wikipedia page and I was like, oh yeah, like it all started rushing back. I recommend you do the same.
Okay.
Anyway, Team Buddies was released on the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation OG, in 2000, which might make it the earliest like PlayStation game that we've talked about on the show, that I can think of anyway. Apparently, I would not have predicted this, but IGN at the time called it a thinking man's shooter.
Really?
Team Buddies, a thinking man's shooter. That's a direct quote, folks. So apparently we're talking about a thinking man's shooter today. I wouldn't have imagined that, given that it's about a bunch of like pill-shaped creatures that are trying to destroy each other and sometimes steal each other's pigs.
Oh yeah, there were pigs, weren't there?
Yeah, we'll talk, right? It comes back, doesn't it? You're like, oh yeah. Anyway, I want to read this summary of the gameplay from Wikipedia because I think it's really funny. Also because it's a blatant paraphrase of one of the reviews I read. Like, it's clear that they went through and like just changed synonyms, so it could be here. But anyway, here's a summary of the game from the great god Wikipedia, god of all knowledge. Quote, "One fine and sunny day in the land that buddies roam, there was a great and mighty disco in a tent. This tent would bob up and down with the music. All of a sudden, a large, flat, gray, flying thing, all caps, blocked out the sun, parentheses, the great eclipse, close parentheses, and began to drop crates. These crates were filled with all sorts of goodies such as Uzis and bazookas. Inevitably, chaos broke out, and this is key, folks, the buddies became segregated according to color.
Wow.
Which makes this a much darker game.
Hashtag woke, people.
Hashtag, this was 2000 and it was about a race war. Apparently, so the American version, and we'll talk about the actual gameplay in a moment, folks, but really Team Buddies is much better if you don't understand what's going on. For you as listeners, I want you to be imagining right now what you think the gameplay of this is like, given that probably, with the exception of our dad, hi Dad, no one has played this game.
Yeah.
But us. So be imagining the gameplay. Go comment it on our page right now what you think the gameplay is, and we'll explain it eventually. But anyway, apparently, so it was released in Europe first, and it was much more adult in Europe. Like a lot of F-bombs.
A lot of F-bombs.
Apparently. And,
wow.
So every color of buddy had, like, a different, like, nationality or, like, accent associated with it.
Oh, wow.
Including one of them that was, like, English, is how it was described.
Okay.
From Japan. So, yeah. And then in America, they wanted it to be marketed more towards children. So it's an E for everyone rated game. They eliminated that element of Team Buddies, fortunately, because we would never have played it had there been walking Japanese stereotypes.
Yeah. Was it made in Europe?
That I'm not sure of, but from what I read, that it was released in Europe first. Apparently, it's one of the, like, rarest, hardest to get your hands on PlayStation 1 games, because it only had a limited release.
Yeah. I did see that.
So I don't know how we ended up with it.
Yeah, I don't know either. Our dad had connections in GameStop, apparently.
I don't think it was called GameStop then.
Was it not? What was it called? Game Place.
Maybe it was Games. I know that the...
Game Yield.
I don't know.
Game Do Not Enter. That was my guess.
Nice.
I think it was still called GameStop. I just think there were a lot more of them than there are now.
Maybe. I guess you're right. I think maybe you're right.
But yeah, that's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, so I would never have thought of it as being about them being segregated by color. But I guess you do fight only with buddies of the same color as you.
Yeah, but I mean, that's such like a, that's just like a thing. Red team, blue team.
Right,
you know?
But usually the red team just, like, wears red.
That's true. They aren't actually red.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was funny that it was, like, actually they used the word segregated by color on Wikipedia, because it frames this game in an entirely different light.
Yeah.
Than the thinking man's shooter that it really is.
Uh-huh. With the disco that bobs up and down.
Yeah. Do you sort of remember that now, too? That opening scene?
I do not remember that. I don't remember that at all.
I probably I hallucinated.
I remember
the Wikipedia
bits
page.
of pieces of the gameplay. I don't remember any of the scenario.
All right. Are we ready for a walkthrough of the gameplay, listeners? Have you waited long enough to hear... Like, what? Anyway, if you want to know more about the plot, should I spoil this 18-year-old game?
That you can't find anywhere, though. It's not readily available.
There are emulators you can play it on, apparently. But yeah, if you do want to buy it on Amazon, you can.
It's like $300, right?
No, it's available on Amazon new for $499.99 plus $4.59 shipping. Used, though, you can get it for about $120.
Wow. And then you can play it on none of your systems because you don't own a PlayStation 1 anymore. Yeah, you could probably have to buy a PS1 too. I did not look up how much PlayStation 1 costs. I imagine it is less than $500. Well, less than $504.58. Maybe.
One would think.
Probably. Maybe you could. I wonder if it's any cheaper on like eBay or anything.
No, it's not. I looked. I did some price research. I was curious. Anyway, if you want to hear a little bit more about the plots, the buddies like battle for supremacy across all sorts of things in the world, and then, spoiler alert, shocker, cover your ears if you're buying that $500 copy and you don't want to be spoiled. It's discovered that the crates were dropped by the baddies, who look just like the buddies, only they have like, they're like, so the buddies are like these like big pill-shaped creatures, right? They're just like,
yeah, they're really just like pills.
pill-shaped.
They're just like medicine with legs and faces.
Literally, but the baddies are like that, except they have like corners. They are prisms rather than like
cylinders.
Well, the buddies aren't cylinders with domes on the end. Capsules. Yeah. Anyway, the baddies from space have been dropping the cubes to provoke conflict and film the destruction for a television show. And
Sounds
then
right.
The buddies discover that the season finale involves like the whole world being destroyed, and then they destroy the baddies, and there's peace, and they go back to their disco.
Wow, that's a very hopeful message.
Isn't it?
Saying all we need in order to get along with each other is an alien invasion.
An alien invasion would put a quick end to racism. Maybe.
Yeah. Possibly.
That's what Team Buddies promotes anyway. # Games for Change. Anyway. Oh, also, I'm sorry. I did so much research for this one, guys, because I just think Team Buddies is so funny. Another quote from a contemporary review. This one from GameSpot. Quote, "The jelly bean-like buddies and their lush cartoon environments are a feast for the eyes."
That's really funny.
Folks, I will post some Let's Plays this week, and you will decide for yourself whether these jelly beans are a feast in the year 2018.
Well, definitely not in the year 2018, but I always think it's interesting, like, you know, looking back at reviews from then and seeing what they say about the graphics, and then being like, now, look at it now, and like, they look back on that, I was like, oh man, those graphics, but you think about them in perspective of like how they actually were back then, as opposed to now when we just literally have people, digitized people, essentially, in our games.
I don't remember the graphics ever being particularly impressive.
Very colorful, though.
I guess they are I guess if your standard in 2000 is like, how colorful is it, then yeah, maybe.
I feel like that's still sometimes our standard in 2018.
You know what,
how
that's
colorful
fair.
Is it?
That is fair. Okay, so I've teased it for like 20 minutes now. I feel like, do we want to actually hear the gameplay?
Let's do it.
Okay, so it's kind of like a bunch of different games in one. So on one hand, it's like a third-person shooter kind of thing, right? You have all these guns, and you're trying to defeat the other teams and like capture their base, right? Now, to get those guns and such, you have to collect crates and like stack them on your base, and so you can build like other buddies. You can have up to 4 buddies on your team, and you can build guns, and you can build tanks and vehicles and stuff. And there are like special boxes. Like if you get like the blue crates, they'll give you like super special weapons. And then so like also similar in a way to, I was just thinking, I was like, oh, like Fire Emblem Warriors is just like this. You can like switch between the 4 buddies that you control, or the maximum 4 buddies you control. But like the buddies you don't control are like impossibly stupid. They just like keep doing the thing that you told them to do, even if they like kill themselves doing it. Also, so there are like other game modes. So first of all, I've said like 20,000 other things on this episode.
20,000ths of all.
First of all, Team Buddies passes, I feel like it's like our Bechdel test, right? It's the like talk this test, which is that it has local co-op. Yeah, it does, folks. You can play with up to 4 of your friends if you
of your
have
buddies.
Thank you. I missed that opportunity. If you have a compatible multi-tap accessory.
Right.
Do you remember the multi-tap?
Multi-taps.
Right? You remember that?
Did the PlayStation 1 not even have 2
No, it had 2
plugins? Okay. Yeah. I guess up to 4 if you have the multi-tap. I get it.
Yeah, but you had like the arrow-shaped guy for that.
Yeah.
Whereas the PS4 just had the little box.
Yeah.
Or the PS2 had.
PS2.
I was thinking 4 players. Anyway.
PlayStation 4 only has 1 plug-in for charging because
it's
wireless. Because we live in the future.
Yes. No wires here in 2018.
Never again.
Only in our phones. Anyway. Hello to the FBI agents watching us through our webcams.
Hi.
Hope you're enjoying the episode. You can also subscribe if you like.
They have like really boring jobs. This girl has just been staring at her screen for 8 hours. Dear God.
How many times can she rewatch The Office? Anyway. What I was saying was, there's local co-op. You can't all play as buddies on the same team. Like, you can't have 4 people controlling each buddy, which I think is a missed opportunity. But you do get to fight, like, each other. But there are all sorts of different modes you can play in. So you can play, like, classic, like, domination mode, I think it's called. Or it's just, like, you have to capture each other's bases and destroy all the other team's buddies and, like, what you would think it would be. But then they have other versions. A bunch of them, which I feel like this is something that games, like, would not do something this ridiculous anymore. Oh no, that one was classic deathmatch. Then you have domination, which is like King of the Hill. They're like areas that you have to like hold, and you get points for however long you hold them. There's bomb ball, which I don't remember this one. It's like some kind of like football-y kind of thing. You have like a ball, you have to like throw it through. It was weird. It seemed weird that there's this like football version of the game in this other game. And then something that you will probably remember because it already jogged your memory when I said pigs, is capture, where you have like pens each team and you have to like steal the animals from other teams and bring them to your pen. Do you remember that? I do remember that. What a weird concept for a game.
Yeah.
Little pill men steal pill-shaped cows.
You know, it's original. It's an original concept.
It is. I wish they would make a Team Buddies 2.
There is somebody was like, it was called Team Buddies 2, but it was actually just a remake of Team Buddies that somebody was trying to make for a while, but it's been dead. Been dead for a dead long time. So, unfortunately, no Team Buddies remake.
Yet. I mean, it was Sony Midway that made it, so it's not like the company's gone. Well, Midway Sony still exists.
Yeah.
So come on.
But
guys.
I mean, they have all their PS1 classics. That's like the thing they've been best about bringing to a whole bunch of systems, and it's not there. So
I'm waiting for it. Bring back Team Buddies. Bring back Team Buddies. Team Buddies. Team Buddies.
Yes, that's very helpful.
The Pillmen. They like explode when they die. That's another thing that's worth mentioning.
Yeah. Speaking of exploding when you die.
Tang. Splatoon 2. So Emma actually has Splatoon 2. So I'll let you take the lead on this one. What's up? What's up with Splatoon?
So in Splatoon 2, and Splatoon, you play as a kid squid. I don't remember what their species is actually called. I don't think they have a name.
Are they
a kid? Are they a squid?
Hang on, I looked this up.
Who knows?
So
you play as inklings. That's what it is. You play as an inkling, and you there's either a story-based mode, a single-player campaign, or there is online multiplayer, or there is local co-op, but only if you have more than one Switch. Yeah. Which feels a little silly, but, whatever. Especially since the Switch, like, you can split the controller in two, and you have two controllers, which seems like makes it easy for local co-op to happen, because you don't have to buy two controllers, but whatever.
Do you need
At least it's there. I don't think Splatoon, the first one, even had any sort of local option.
Do you need 2 copies of the game?
I would think so.
That's dumb. That's my commentary on the matter. Go ahead.
Well, I have not tried out the local co-op because I don't have any friends who own a Switch and Splatoon 2. But I have tried out both the story campaign. And in that, you play as Agent 4. I think Agent 3 was the protagonist of the original Splatoon. In the most, shoddily way that you could possibly be recruited to a secret organization. You just, turn up and they're like, hey, we need some help over here. But the Great Zapfish, as well as Callie, the super pop squid superstar, have gone missing. And they need your help, Agent 4, to get them back by taking on a whole bunch of different missions with a whole bunch of different guns. Yes, that's right, people. It's a Nintendo third-person shooter.
Oh, just like, Link's that's first person. Link's crossbow training.
Yeah. But what you do in Splatoon is you're not shooting bullets, but you're shooting ink. So different colors of ink. And when you put ink on the ground, you can turn into your squid form and swim through it. So you can swim up walls and all that sort of stuff. But it also hurts your enemies, the Octarians, which are octopi. Because squid and octopi are apparently mortal enemies. Who knew? And you go through all that stuff and you find the Zapfish and you take on bosses and da-da-da-da-da. But the main part of it is the sort of online multiplayer different modes. The main mode is it's a team-based thing, and you're trying to cover the most territory with your color of ink. So it's mostly a lot of shooting at the floor and shooting at walls, and then you can also splat your opponents, is what it's called, by shooting at them, or my favorite thing when it happens to me is when you just get rolled over by somebody with an ink roller. They'll just roll you down. I'm a fan of the dualies myself. But that's a lot of fun. It was a lot more fun than I was expecting it to be. Then you just have to get the most territory, and then you get more points, and you level up, which means you can buy better gear because you look fresher, as they call it. And you can also buy new guns that do different things. There's a whole bunch of different guns and attack equipment. And then the other mode, which I have not tried, is something called Salmon Mode, which people are pretty big fans of. Is essentially you're competing against a bunch of different people to pick up these salmon eggs. So you have to get the most back to your base as possible, sort of like the pigs thing. While also dealing with Octarians coming onto the ship and also people trying to get the salmon eggs for themselves.
This is going to be impossible to mash up because they're literally the same game.
I know.
And I was at first I was salmon, that's the weirdest, but they're squid and octopus. Yeah. So, okay, yeah. Because I was where did that come from? Salmon.
Yeah. But I have to, the Nintendo is, launching their premium online service in September. So after that, I will not be able to play any online mode. So I'm going to have to get all my... Unless I want to pay for it, I won't be able to play online on the Switch. So I'll have to get all my funky gear while I still can.
That's kind of BS.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think, too.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't understand. I feel that the backlash to that would have to be tremendous. You're already paying so much money for a Switch.
Well, to be fair, it's cheaper than the other consoles.
Fine. That's fine. But, still, you're already paying, if you're getting a Switch and a couple of games, you're dropping, $500.
Yeah, I don't really know what the reaction was supposed to be. It was actually supposed to come out, I'm pretty sure, the end of January, but it ended up getting pushed back to September. And you can only play free online until that comes out. And the only way to get new swag and gear, so you look super cool walking around the lobby, although you don't actually wear it during the single-player campaign, is to get points in the multiplayer modes. So I have to rack up my points so I can look super, super fresh.
I guess so. What do you... I know they have, like, the little, like you draw on your Switch, and, like... It just...
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but there's a lot of memes around there.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of very elaborate ones. Apparently it was very heartwarming, like, around Christmas, when, like, all these new kids were gonna be getting Switches. There was all this, like, welcome, new Inklings, like, keep it clean for the kids, like, all this, like, precious stuff.
That's cute.
Right? It's just this, like, heartwarming, like... And it's, like, not all perfect, like...
Yeah,
so
it's also gone through stages, apparently, where it's, like, just descended into utter chaos.
Yeah.
Just, like, people throwing things out there. There's a time when everybody in the lobby was apparently really excited about Knack 2 for the PlayStation 4. Or that was possibly the first Splatoon, but similar concepts.
So I didn't explain this very well. Everyone in Splatoon... You can't, like, there's no vocal communication online.
Thank God.
Yeah, right? Which I think is like, wow, what a nice break. But, like, the way that you can sort of, like, express yourself, introduce yourself, whatever, is you can, like, draw a little, like, kind of, like, placard on your Switch. And some people have done really elaborate ones. Some people have done really sweet, nice ones. Some people have done the ones that are really inappropriate. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to watch how that cycles.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Sure.
Do you think this game is, like, based upon the pen is mightier than the sword kind of idea?
No.
You're fighting with literal ink.
I guess that's true, but I don't know if you would want to write in these colors of ink. They're very neon.
That's fair. Still. That's how you fight with them, though. They're, like, blinding ink. So if you did write with them, it would hurt people.
Okay.
I thought it was an interesting metaphor. Anyway, I now have something more intelligent that I can say. So here's a quote from Nogami, who created the game.
Okay.
I think he has a first name, but I didn't take that
Probably.
part of the quote.
Probably
so.
It has one.
Quote, an idea that's sort of baked into Splatoon at the most fundamental level is we're not exactly releasing a game when you buy that package, but it's more that we're releasing an experience that evolves over time. So they're constantly releasing new content, new versions of game modes, but notably, this is DLC content. This is downloadable content. I just said DLC content, which is redundant.
Okay.
Anyway. But it's free. It's completely free. And this is the kind of DLC that, like, I am actually down with. If it's gonna be free content, that's fine. If you're just gonna keep adding to your game, and they have an aim of doing it for 2 years, I think he said. Like,
do you mean just, like, adding the new stages and new weapons?
Yeah, they're adding new stages, they're adding new weapons. They host, what are they called? Like, Splatfests?
Probably.
That, like, where everybody comes together to do something. It's interesting, this, and I think it's, from what I read, it's something that Nintendo is moving more and more towards. This, like, continuing...
Well, yeah, they've talked about they want their Switch's lifespan to be longer than the average console. So...
It's just interesting. I'm interested to see if that has any ripple effect across other consoles.
I mean, I think that in team-based shooters, that's pretty common. Like, Overwatch is always adding new characters, for instance, and they're not paid. They're just there. So for, like, team-based shooters like that, they want the lifespan to be long, so they keep adding content, but they don't make you pay for it, especially because you're online. So, like, if somebody has a content and somebody also doesn't, then, like, you suddenly have a stage where you have, like, a vastly smaller amount of players that you can actually pull to make a match out of, which means that, like, you wouldn't really be able to play on that stage very often.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. Although I will say that I feel like sometimes, like, they just sort of randomly assign people to, like, different sides. And occasionally I've gotten one where, like, I'm, like, level 6, okay? And the higher level you get, the better weaponry you get. Like, that just, you know, that's how it works. It's not like game-breaking weaponry, necessarily. It's just, like, it's better. And I feel like sometimes I'll be on the side, like, me, level 6, will be the highest level, and then on the other side is a bunch of, like, level 24 squids, and I'm like, okay then, well then, let's just see how this goes. But sometimes I'll get like a level 24 person on my side, but somehow I'll still get more points than them, which maybe I'm just real good. Maybe I'm a Splatoon prodigy. Who knows?
Perhaps.
But my squid is super cute. She's got short hair, and funky fresh style.
Post a photo. Put it on the Instagram.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen it and I want to see it, so if only for my sake.
I'll have to put on her most stylish duds before I do it.
Yeah, make sure she's camera ready.
The gear you wear has like abilities, and like as you wear it, you'll also gain more abilities. Like you have to wear it for a certain amount of time for all its abilities to unlock. So what she's wearing right now is not, like, super great looking. But we can make it better. Plus, the colors change based on, like, what ink you are. Because your hair also changes to that color so that you look unified. So your clothes will change to match it depending on what color your hair is.
If only.
Yeah. And I say hair, but it's like, you know, they're, like, tentacle hair.
You don't know what my hair is like. What texture is your hair? Oh, tentacle.
Tentacle. Yeah.
Do you know how to care for squid hair?
Probably not very much maintenance, honestly.
Mm-hmm. That's what you'd think, but you'd be wrong.
You'd be wrong.
Saltwater ink bath.
And the story mode is actually, like, occasionally really hard. Like,
boo-hoo.
There are certain enemies that, like, you can't kill. You just have to avoid them as much as possible. But you still have to, like, get by them to get the item you need to move forward also. And they'll just, like, murder you if they get anywhere close. And you only have 3 lives, and you get 1 back at each checkpoint you get. So I've gotten a few levels that were pretty frustrating as I died at the same point over and over again.
You got fried?
Yeah, mostly fun.
You got fried?
Died.
You got fried?
Drowned. I think drowned was probably the more accurate description.
They turned you into calamari?
Yes, they did.
Nice.
No, I haven't had to deal with fire yet. I don't know if there'll be fire in Splatoon.
Well, keep us updated on your progress.
Okay. I will.
I suppose we should try to create a mashup. However,
probably.
Given that these are literally the same game, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, Nintendo really ripped off Team Buddies on this one.
Right? Team Buddies should sue. You'd think I'm kidding, but I'm not. Colorful, like, weird-shaped people, third-person shooter, kind of aimed at kids, but also kind of, like, a little too adult for kids. Animal egg things that you steal. It's literally, it's the Team Buddies 2 that we've been waiting for.
There you go. That's a ringing endorsement.
It is. Quote, it's the Team Buddies 2 you've been waiting for. End quote.
Right on the back of the box. Put it there.
Yeah. Like, what is even different about them? The shape of the protagonist.
The ink.
Ink.
Like, in Team Buddies, you are trying to, like, defeat the enemy most of the time, right?
Maybe in Team Buddies, you're, like, trying to turn them your color. Like, you're trying to shoot them with ink. I mean, this gets very dark when you consider the, like, racial implications, right? But, like, don't think about that. Just don't think about it, okay? I'm sorry I brought it up. Just don't think about it.
Don't think about it. Forget it.
It's not that deep. I mean, it probably is, but, like, it's not. That's why they can't bring back Team Buddies, because it's too It's not PC.
Okay, how about this? One day in Inktopolis, crates began falling from the sky, and the Inklings realize that there are guns that fire real bullets.
Uh-oh.
And they learn about violence, and then they go on murder rampages.
Oh, so is this like an origin story of the baddies?
Except the Octarians are octopi.
No, but like, okay, so here's my proposal. So we have the baddies, right, who are like the aliens.
I see.
So if we could like spin it as like, okay, like somehow either the buddies evolve into the baddies and come to terrorize the Inklings, or the Inklings are like a very primitive form of the baddies that will eventually...
What evolutionary process led them to abandon their humanoid shape into more of like a prism type?
They had some kind
body.
of reaction to all the ink. The ink caused
see.
a genetic mutation.
Genetic mutation. Man. Full dystopia. Right there.
So it's like a Team Buddies, like, 0.2.
Yeah. Except that's not a prequel.
Well, it is in some universes.
Yeah. Let's go real dark with it. Why not? And then there are also pigs.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't there be?
Pigs eat the salmon eggs.
Yeah. And then they become the Octarians. And it's just like this big cycle of evolution of like them feeding the enemies of these people and then back again.
Oh my god. Alternately, we could go a lighter route and do like, I'm not thinking of Marvel versus Capcom. I'm thinking of like Rayman versus someone, or like Sonic versus someone. This does exist, right?
I don't know.
I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll look it up now. But like a kind of like buddies versus Inklings showdown.
But again, the Inklings would be massacred, and the buddies would be pretty colors.
Well, but maybe by turning the buddies pretty colors, they would discover that, I'm like almost figuring this out. Maybe by turning the buddies different colors, they would discover that, like, they wouldn't have to be, like, racist against each other anymore.
Wow, deep.
Maybe I'm thinking of
Because
Sega.
we're all the colors of the rainbow in our souls.
Sega versus Capcom. This is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
The next
That is a
generation
real thing.
of heroes. So I'm thinking of that, but like buddies versus Inklings.
An interesting idea.
Wow, that was like the most faint praise I have ever heard. It's an interesting
I don't know
idea.
if anybody would buy it. That's the only thing. It's got no commercial appeal.
Well, but this is how I'm dragging the buddies out of obscurity.
Oh, I see.
Or, okay, so here we go. So the buddies can be like a new DLC pack. And
Of Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
So you can become a buddy.
Yeah, it's like a cool like outfit.
Oh, I see.
But it also gives you access to real guns.
Just bringing real guns into Splatoon is just such like a bad idea overall.
But only one person per like battle like has a real gun, and they have to be like careful because like they're on their own. Like if anyone finds out, like we're gonna shove a paint gun in their mouth and like drown them in paint.
Oh my god! Wow.
Isn't that a worse death?
Yeah, that's pretty bad. The FBI agent watching us through our webcam is suddenly really concerned.
It's like,
oh man, this is picked up all of a sudden. Oh, better take some notes. Call it in.
yeah. Wipe my Cheeto dust off my fingers. I'm trying to think of like a completely different way you could go with this. Like, what if I got it. So like the buddies explode when they die, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if the game is that, like, it's buddies, but, like, you have to, like, explode them so that you cover the most, like, color?
Oh, okay.
This is really dark. It's like their guts are covered.
That is really dark, but I think it might work better than just, like...
Like, they're like paint balloon. They're, like, full of paint, and so when you, like, blow them up, they, like, cover the area, and so it's all about strategizing when you're gonna kill your opponents, because you don't want to kill them in an area where it's like, oh, like, they're right above the water, like, the paint just washed away. Like,
yeah.
It's, as IGN might call it, a thinking man's shooter.
Yeah.
Boom! I did it.
Yeah. I do think that you would have to, like, have some AI-controlled buddies, because if it was all players, like, they would, like, shoot one person, and then they would always, like, stay in their, like, already inked area, so that, you know, if they got exploded, they would just cover area that was already covered. I don't know. So I feel like you'd have, like, a bunch of little buddies running everywhere,
well,
and then you have to, like, shoot them strategically when they, like, get to certain areas to cover.
Yeah, I feel like we can work in the Inklings in some way as being, like, minions of some kind, or something. It needs some workshopping, but I guess you don't really say workshopping in video games.
Sure you do.
Maybe you do. I had another idea for it, and now it's gone. So much for that. Maybe I'll sell it for $4.99.99 on Amazon in a few years.
If only. Imagine, like, selling a new video game for $4.99.99.
I'm sure some...
Like, with no trace of irony. Just like, no, this is the price. It's worth it.
$500.
You'd get news. You'd get news coverage.
Maybe.
Somebody would buy it.
I don't know. You know, if it's a game like Team Buddies that, like, pretty much has endless replay value. Like, I know $500 sounds insane, but if you think about it, if you play it, like, enough, like, eventually the cost per hour would come down to something reasonable.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Some people have a lot of money.
So that means Madelyn's about to go onto Amazon and spend her rent money.
Yikes. Yikes. Nah, man. Nah. Nah.
Alright, now that we've come up with those astounding, amazing crossovers.
Which will inevitably enrich us.
Yes. It is time to pick the next game.
It took you a long time to come up with that word, Emma.
I know. I'm sorry.
Alright, we actually have hats. We don't have to do our dumb website thing.
Listen.
Which hat is that?
Oh no!
She dropped one. She dropped one, ladies and gentlemen. Which hat is it?
This is the old game hat, because that's what we always start with.
What's on the hat? Give him a visual.
Oh. It's a Luigi hat.
Oh, it is the Luigi hat.
Yes. It says, okie dokie, in the lining.
Does it really?
Now you can visualize it. Yeah, it's all throughout it. It says, okie dokie. We talked about this before. It also has little silhouettes of Luigi doing things all over it.
Cool. Luigi, don't let us down. Give us a good game.
Okay, tell me when to pick.
Just pick. I don't know.
Just tell me when.
Just do it.
Oh. You have Planescape Torment.
Oh dear.
So have fun researching that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Now, we have the new game. It is also in a green hat. It is from a show that Madelyn was in college. It says, Make America Love Again.
At the time, it was funny.
It's nice now.
I know.
Now it's, like, sweet.
Yeah. Sorta. Just pick a game.
Tell me when.
Now.
The Witcher 3.
Oh, man. Are you excited for this one?
Yeah. That's good, actually. We have some of the new games in here. Have been in here since we started. So they're actually more than a year old, but I've decided not to take them out because they're still relevant and such.
Yeah.
So like The Witcher 3, for example, is more than a year old, but that's fine.
It's iconic, so
yeah,
it can.
I feel like as long if they ever get more than 2 years old, I might take them out, but
that's a while away.
Okay. Yeah. So look forward to that one with 2 games that we haven't played. But we will attempt to discuss them still to the best of our ability.
We had a very long streak of weeks where it's like, oh, we've played at least one or both of these games, so we're about due.
Yeah. We want to mix it up for you guys, and if we only did ones that we played,
we do Barbie team gymnastics every week.
Yeah, it get a little repetitive probably.
Barbie buddies.
Mhm. So, thanks for listening to us talk about Team Buddies and Splatoon 2. If you've also played Team Buddies as a child, let us know, because we're really looking for, validation that, this was a game that people have played.
We're actually forming a support group, so
yeah.
if you'd like to reach out, it's called Buddies Anonymous.
Follow us on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Talk This Podcast. Our website is talkthispodcast.com. Got lots of great content up there. Madelyn just wrapped up the first series of Clickbait Boyfriend on Kingdom Hearts 1. And soon we'll be coming with Kingdom Hearts 2 Clickbait Boyfriend.
Yeah, Season 2 is coming soon.
Revenge of the Clickbait Boyfriend.
I do think that might be the working title right now. Right now the working title is Kingdom Hearts 2 Clickbait Boyfriend Returns. Spoiler alert, we skipped Chain of Memories. Well, we watched just the cutscenes for Chain of Memories.
Yeah.
I
went back and played it as, just cuz, and it's not great.
Here's what I would recommend. Watching the cutscenes on, double speed, because they talk really slowly.
The boss fights are fun, but everything else is, just tedious in that game. But that's totally off topic. So enjoy those blogs. Subscribe to us. Share us with your friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Talk This Sisters. And this Thursday, hopefully, will be the very first edition of Play This, a Talk This podcast production where we talk about moments in gaming that are amazing because they happen in games. And our first one on the theme will be on Kingdom Hearts because I have footage for that.
Also look out this week for a Valentine's Day themed blog post from Talk This. If you have any particularly romantic moments or locations or things from video games you'd like to see us write about on a blog, give us a post, send us a message, reach out how you do. And let us know, because I would love suggestions for romantic video game things. I want to plan some video game dates, I think that'd be really fun. Let's see, what else? We'll be back next week with one of our editions of our side quests where we talk about what we've been playing the past 2 weeks. Glad I have another week, because haven't really had time to play anything this week. So I'm going to have to, create my content in the next 7 days. This is a pretty fresh episode. Only recorded a little bit in the past. So I'll sign off so that Emma can get to her editing and get some sleep.
Woo!
But in the meantime, folks, have just the most lovely, loving week full of care from the people that you care about.